Hello, my name is hchen. I'm going to give you a short fire tutorial for the stretch assignment 4. Um, so let me start with what is fire and what is used for. So fire, as of the name, it means fast healthcare interoperability resources. So it is a standard that is describing data formats and elements. It's also an API to actually exchange those informations specifically for electronic healthcare health records. So I wanted to stress on the interoperability part because the resources, which basically are the elements with the standard data formats in Fire, that they can be operated on their own, and they can also interact with each other. Later on, I'll provide some examples for that. That's for Fire. So what makes it getting more and more popular nowadays? So first, Fire provide a general standard for describing those resources for electronic health records. That's what it is for. It is really a easy way to operate with those informations because it integrating to the current web standards. It uses modern HTML, CSS for UI, and it's web-based API. More importantly, it also supports the HTTP-based RESTful protocol. Because of that, it makes Fire such an easy way to access and operate to provide and transfer healthcare informations to different formats like computers, phones, tablets, third-party apps, etc. Also, Fire is free, is easy, is accessible. So there's a pretty good article about Fire on the wiki, so I put that in below. Some use cases of Fire. So first example is Fire can be used for the personal healthcare record data transfer, and an example of such use case is, for example, nowadays you may notice people start to collecting a lot of their day-to-day data regarding to their health related parameters such as heart rate, how long I run, how many steps I walked, by a wide variety of applications like iWatch, Fitbit, etc. So in such scenarios, the Fire really provides a way to create, store, and reference those data from a wide variety of platforms to help it provide a standard for those wide variety of platforms to transfer data between each other, or making compatible for each other. And then another use case is document sharing. For example, in such use cases, the document sharing, for example, the radiology scans that the patient had, and needs to be for such data sharing environment usually is often based on IHE SDS standard. Fire has basically supports those standards and offer a way to transfer those images to patients or other applications. Another example of decision support because Fire is a standard widely used, it's basically it enables the collaboration and plug and play of different parties or providers to utilize the data and make decisions. The current challenge or weakness. So Fire server currently has a few different versions. However, right now one of the issues that I noticed is it doesn't have the compatibility between its versions, so that make it really painful if you migrate from one of the version to different database versions. And another thing is the Fire extension is somewhat complicated to me. Is you will see in the later cases, you have to really look into those to be able to actually index the one that you would want. And the third one is security, and as mentioned in this article below, the setup of the current Fire server is really rather weak in terms of security concerns. And also the API, in Fire we're using API to control and transfer data, and the API designed by some parties or companies and apps are really simple, and those are really subject to be changed easily. And with different purpose, it could render security concerns of the patient data. So let's move on. So CRUD operations. So basically, those are create, read, update, and delete all of the information. You will see in the later slides. I'm actually just going to go ahead to do a demo for. We'll start with the CRUD operations. So I utilize the AI 8 box, which is very like some of the there's quite some apps that you can actually use to easily access data from Fire server, and one of them is this AID box. It's very simple to use, so why not we just use this one to demonstrate some basic CRUD operations. So basically, we'll start with create. So create patient. So here is a example where we create patient max. So basically, you use common host and you put in all the information for these specific elements. So why not we just copy this, and we'll just create our own. Maybe we create our own, but not Max. Maybe we call him Janet. And for purpose of the demonstration, I wanted to talk about those elements. So, for example, gender, where you can define the gender of the patient, and birthday, those are primitive, and just a single value you can just play around to change. In case you want, let's say we wanted to add in a family name for Jack. So what I do, so first you wanted to sort of understand how I should index the family name. So to do that, you actually go to, there's different data types we'll talk later on, but now I wanted to, study the human name, right? And you can see here, basically, for family name, it's primitive. You just put family, and then you put a name sign. So it's very simple. So what I'll do is then I will give a family name of elements. Let's see if this will work. So let me first put my console back. So now we're. You may ask why there's for given name it can be a combination of different name, because at different part of life you may have a different family name. So the way that it defines it for given name, actually you do not necessarily put in just one only. So for the practice purpose, we just try and see if we can get this going. So now I got Jackson Adams. Let's go. You can see now actually I create this Jack. Once you create the patient, you're actually gonna have a patient ID. So this patient ID will be specifically for a patient. For example, if I create another one, let's call him David. So as you can see here, the patient ID for Jack Sam is A97A. Let's see if I do another one. It's actually changed. So that's the name for David. Okay, so now we created David. Now we're going to read David. Read is a very simple comment which you do get, and you can do that by the ID. So I just copy paste the ID here and run, and then you see we got David Adams. And now if I wanted to do some change to David, I can use comment cut. If you're not sure, you can go back to these tutorials, and then you can see updates, which basically is closed. And then you can basically take off the part of the code you want to change and update information. So right now, let's see, David is at city hello. Now I'm going to change it to 10. Alright, it's a very nice CD important. So let's see if it works. And here you go. Now we have David address changed to David. That's update. Now we're gonna delete. Delete is very intuitive. It's just delete. So we just delete the patient with patient David his ID. So just do a quick run. And it looks like I'm just successfully delete David. So if I try to get David, I shouldn't get anything. That's exactly what it is. Okay, so that is the CRUD demonstration. Now I'm going to talk about the bundle. So basically in bundle, you can put multiple entities together. So a example here, you can see here is a bundle. They create a bundle of two entries. So one is two patients in the entry. So one is the patient Bob, and the other one is patient Peter. So so we basically create both of them in a resource type bundle. So we can just simply try this here. Here we go. We create two patients in the bundle. Okay, and they have two different IDs. Alright, that's the bundle. Now we will demonstrate search. So search, basically what you do is, if you look at the tutorial, you just put on the what elements you want to look at and the volume. So then you can just get back the element inside patient with the name next in this case. So in our case, we're going to try the one that we just created, Bob. So we do a get patient name equals to, we don't need to just do this, right? And then now you get Bob, you get Bob here. And because the Bob is created as a bundle, so the resource type is actually one. So that is a very quick and short tutorial for the basic operations for the file. And if you want to learn more, these are the resources. This is specifically for how to use AID box, and this is the address of the AID box. Okay, let's talk a bit more about the FHIR data types. So basically, FHIR data types are divided into basically primitive types and complex types. For the primitive type, it's basically a single element with primitive values. So for a given element, there's a specific value associated to it. For example, like time and dates, those sort. And then there's the complex type. So the complex type is really has elements with children elements. So it's not like primitive type where we don't have children elements. A given elements will have no children. However, here the elements will have children elements, and there is and the children elements with a definition of what kind of type and what kind of value it should have. So it's basically defined by the structure is defined by structure or type constraints, and those definitions are which the elements shall have what values associated to it. For the complex type, you actually have general purpose data types, and those are really those are reusable classes like carry the range, human names, and those sort. And you also have the so-called metadata type. So the metadata type is a set of data types used for metadata data resources, like contact details, contributors, and those sort. And there's another type called the special purpose data types. And those are typically specifications for specific use. For example, HTML, narrative, meta, and those sort. Fire extension. So unlike the commonly agreed upon elements, which it has all common agreed the types. It's better if I show you in the web page. These, like for example, like in the human name, we have use name, we have family name, given name. Those are commonly agreed upon the elements, and those are specifically defined. However, in some of the cases, you wanted to put on some extra information for a different purpose, and those information should be supported. And how it's supported? It's supported by extension. So basically, you just put on an extension, and then you can define the URL and the values. Or example here, so we have a resource type patient, and now I'm using extension to basically define some of the informations that I want to add on. And then notice that in the extension, you can actually use the extension again. So in this case, so it's defining the citizenship of the patient. That's the extension part. The operations. Again, let me go back to the web page. So as we just demoed, CRUD operations, those are the typical actions that could be used for a lot of use cases, which for most of the users, it's satisfy the requirement. However, in some cases, we wanted to, either to improve the efficiency or the compatibility, different applications may require a specific size of operations in addition to the common grade CRUD. As it also states here, there is some functionality that can be met more efficiently using the execute of different operations, and these are the common cases where we use specific special operations. For example, a server needs to play active role in formulating the context of response, not merely just returning existing information. You may have to bundle the information or fit specific part of the information. And another one is the intended purpose is called side effect of such modifications of existing resources, creation of new resources, or other change out of the scope of RESTful interface. Let's say if I want to merge the patient record, etc. So there are some examples of using those operations. Usually come with a $sign, and here it has a lot of information regarding to that if you wanted to dig more. With that, I am done with this quick and short tutorial, and I hope this will be useful for you. And some of the resources that I used actually I used out here. And thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoy your day. Thanks. Bye.